Daily Solutions. Smash Daily Solutions Podcast of Daily Solutions. Okay, everyone, welcome to the Daily Solutions podcast. We have a slightly different episode for you today. It's just me here, Ashkahn, and I actually have a special guest with me, Professor Hu. He is one of our Float Conference speakers. We just did an interview with him over on our Float Conference podcast, and we thought we would bring him on here in Daily Solutions and ask him a little snippet of a question for you guys as well. So welcome to this podcast, Professor Hu.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad to work with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, so I came out to China and met you at the conference that your association, the Floatation Tank Association of China, put on earlier this year. And one thing I thought was very interesting about learning about float tanks and how they're being implemented in China was this kind of integration with Chinese medicine. Whereas here in the United States, we talk a lot about float tanks and Western medicine. But in China, there was some lectures at your conference about actually adding different herbs and things like that to the liquid inside the float tanks and some of those things that we don't see as much here in the United States. I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, about the kind of way that float tanks fit in with Chinese medicine.
Okay. So why we call this flotation therapy as a Chinese flotation therapy? This is we integrate Chinese medicines factors. One thing is after each of the flotation, we give the patients Chinese massage because Chinese massage is good for their health. After each floating, they have their dress and in the bed, the floating therapist, they can do the Chinese massage and they can provide the good method to the patient. This is one kind of factors of why we call the Chinese floating therapy. This is one thing. The second thing is before or after the treatment, we give the patient some special liquids. This is in the liquids they can drink. They can drink as a diet, as a drinking. This is we call this is 漂浮液. This kind of Chinese drinking, including some Chinese medicines. They can drink this medicine, they can drink these waters, is very good for their health. So this is a second thing. And the third thing, why we call the Chinese floating therapy, is we put the Chinese medicine into the water. In the waters, our traditional floating is magnesium sulfate. Mm-hmm. But now we put hydrogen-rich water into the liquids. I don't know whether you're familiar with the hydrogen-rich water. This is special waters, and there are special factories can produce it. And we put these kind of things into the same waters, into the floating tanks. This kind of water can antioxidant. Antioxidant means they can prevent the cancer. Mm-hmm. This is a very good method. and we including this kind of waters into our fluid, into our flotation liquids, they can produce more and miracle results. I think that this is our special thinking, and this is our special integration with Chinese thinking, and massage and drinking and more water. I think that this is our three kind of new things to this contribution of this flotation therapy. Maybe we can talk more in our conference, and we'll introduce our thinking and our doing, these kind of things.
Yeah. And this way that you add these things to floating, it seemed to me like that usually required the person who was running the float tank to have more training or more knowledge, they had to come into it with that kind of background of knowing how to do these things.
Yeah. I think that there's more people, the people, and also in my view, also in the training classes, also I tell the students, if you are interested to our floating therapy, and each of you should create your new ideas. If you think this is a good method, you also can create your thinking, your method, your specialty, and you can combine the other things. So my means is I encourage or I promote more and more people will focus on this floating, and more people will focus on this floating and interesting on this floating, and they can create more things, new things.
Yeah.
Such as, I think because the people, they are in the water, in the traditional psychotherapy, in the face-to-face and also in the ground. And maybe we have some table or desk. This is traditional psychotherapy, but we do the psychotherapy not in the ground, we in the water. Uh-huh. The water, that means they like in the mother's womb, or they are like in the outer space. So this is a different thinking, different ways. So I think this is a good direction. Maybe they can have a new method, a new result, and maybe new things will be happen. So this is I encourage people to do more new things. And if you have good ideas, also good. We can combine it. But the basic thing is safety. The basic thing is scientific. And I ask them to do this kind of thing, and not only for the money, you should for the, develop the science. This is very important. I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it'll be. Okay. I think it'll be nice to see in a few years, as people experiment with different combinations of floating and these other things, which things seem to work very well with floating or complement it very nicely. So,
yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, very, very interesting stuff, and very, very nice to hear about how floating is being used over there. And thank you for hopping on this podcast too.
Also, thank you for the podcast, and thank you for your work. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Look forward to meet you.
Okay, you guys can listen to Professor Hu give his speech at the Float Conference this year. To get all the information for that and to listen to the full interview with Peicheng Hu, you can go to floatconference.com, and we will talk to you tomorrow.